Hello everybody, welcome back to another KP's Plays YouTube video or podcast if you're listening on Spotify for podcasts. We are back here with our Money in the Bank reactions video and podcast. So we're going to be reviewing all of the matches that went down in London on that quite memorable night for Money in the Bank. We're going to go through all the matches that happened, say what we thought of all of them, rank them out of 10, and yeah, just have a big old discussion about everything that went down. So today I am joined once again by Kurt. Scarlett isn't able to be with us on this occasion. So yeah, me and Kurt will be going through what we thought of the event in general and just running through all the ins and outs. So without further ado then, let's talk about the first match of the Money in the Bank Premium Live event, which was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. You had the likes of Damian Priest, Butch, Santos Escobar, LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura, Logan Paul and Ricochet all involved in this one. And it's a good way to kickstart the show. Obviously, it is a Money in the Bank premium live event, so you put one of your Money in the Bank matches to start things off, and that's a pretty solid way to begin things. And this match definitely delivered. It had some really high-octane spots. There was a lot of stuff going on. It was full of content from start to finish. And in terms of like the winner, Damian Priest, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people were rooting for LA Knight, including myself as one of those. But when you look at Damian Priest and you think of the year that he's had, the time that he's had on the main roster since coming up from NXT, I think that like he's only improved from that very first day. So he keeps on getting better and better and better, and he keeps building his own stature. I think that he really does deserve this. I think that it's a pretty good decision having him be Mr. Money in the Bank. I think although LA Knight didn't win, and that would have been my preferred option, I think this is the second best option, and Damian is a great talent. He really, really is. I definitely think he deserves this. Let's talk about the match itself and like a bit more of the ins and outs sort of thing regarding it, the specifics. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Damian winning. The match had some really great spots. I thought Logan Paul was really heavily involved throughout. Like, he didn't shy away from any of the offense. He got involved in some crazy spots himself and really put his body on the line, which is, again, really good from him. He always tends to find a way to impress and to go viral, I suppose, as people say now, right? But yeah, in the thick of it, and nice to see. You know, he always does his bit in the match, which is nice. The springboard Spanish fly. Let's talk about it. So Ricochet and Logan Paul. It looked like it was going to go horribly wrong, and I was watching at the time, and I was thinking, "Oh my god, what are they doing?" They went into the Spanish fly through the tables at ringside, and honestly, I was genuinely scared watching it because I was amazed by it. It was an absolutely crazy spot. Ricochet somehow managed to, fix the situation and eventually got the Spanish fly to work to a certain extent. But it was a crazy spot, and obviously it was a dangerous one, but they managed to get it done in some sort of way. Logan didn't land particularly correctly, obviously because it was such a crazy little bit. But he landed to a position where he wasn't concussed, he wasn't injured in the slightest. So you got to give kudos to Ricochet for that. Like, what a professional he was for fixing that situation and making it work to some sort of extent. That spot was freaking crazy. I absolutely loved it. I was gassed with that. But that wasn't all that happened during the match. There were lots of high-flying stunts. There was a Logan frog splash onto Damian Priest onto a ladder at ringside. You have Butch's moonsault off the ladder at ringside. Yeah, I think there was even a Hurricane Rana from Santos Escobar onto LA Knight off of the ladder. There were some really nice spots during this match. So full of content, very fun to watch, and very entertaining as well. Just hoping that Damian Priest solidifies his legacy as Mr. Money in the Bank and keeps it for a while. I don't want him to cash it in straight away. I don't want him to cash it in quickly. I want him to do some teasers down the line. Will he, won't he? As long as that happens, I'm happy, But yeah, I gave this match a 9 out of 10. I thought it was an incredible way to start the show, and I thought everyone delivered. Kurt, what are your thoughts on this one, buddy? What would you like to add?
So, as KP said, I'm agreeing that this was a good match to start off with the Money in Bank pay-per-view. And there's loads of high flyers movements, especially Ricochet and Logan Paul doing that springboard off the ladder onto the tables. The winner, Damian Priest, I was expecting for him to win because obviously the feud with Judgment Day, we knew that Damien Priest possibly in the future could cash in on Finn Balor when he has a match against someone for the title to break up the Judgment Day. And it was too easy if it were LA Knight, because as we know, WWE, they don't like going all fans' likings. So Damien Priest is a good winner to grab the contract and be the future world champion. So I rate this match an 8 out of 10. High quality, thought it was really good, and a good way to start off the show. So I pass you back over to KP.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it really was a great way to start the show. I know we've reiterated that quite often, but yeah, what a way to start with, and to send a message to the fans, like, you know, we're here to play. Okay, so let's move on now. The match that followed this one was the Women's WWE Tag Team Championship match, the Undisputed Tag Team Championship, I should say. And we had, obviously, the champions Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, defending here up against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So, obviously, the build up to this one being that Raquel and Liv never actually lost the titles. They weren't defeated for them. They had to relinquish them. And it would be Shayna and Ronda that would eventually win a match to pick them up. And, yeah, Liv Morgan will make her return a couple of weeks ago. She would state her intentions that she wants the titles back. And here we are, Money in the Bank. The four women went toe-to-toe with each other, and it was quite a surprise. I think that's safe to say, right? It was definitely a surprise, and it was a very good surprise. You had the match going along steady pace, as it was, you'd expect it to be, and then Shayna Baszler decided that she would change things up. She would decide to go after Ronda Rousey, her tag team partner, and she would turn on her, to the absolute shock of Liv Morgan, the fans in attendance, and to myself and probably a lot of other people at home as well watching. It was not expected. It really, really wasn't. Or it wasn't for me anyway, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on that one. I think it was expected in the long term, but not right now. I thought it was a bit too early for it. But hey, I am not complaining. We had new tag champions crowned. Obviously, Shayna and Ronda getting into their little bit of business. Shayna would walk off and leave Ronda in the Lion's Den. Liv and Raquel would see the job out and they become the new tag team champions. It was a pretty good way to continue the Premium Live event. I wasn't really too hyped for this match going into it, but I was definitely genuinely surprised and very happy come the end of it as well. Like I said, it was shocking. It was a moment I genuinely did not see coming. Very happy and surprised with it, and I thought the match actually went really well in terms of things before that. So obviously you had Liv Morgan getting isolated, weakened down bit by bit, which was great. Whenever Raquel Rodriguez would get involved, it was like high pace. She would sort of like come in, assert her dominance, use her power game, and then obviously Liv would come back in again. Yeah, I thought the match was worked well, even up until that point where Shayna would turn. Obviously then that would form the cracks and it would be over quickly after that. But it was a good match, definitely, for sure. I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10. So not too bad, and yeah, definitely better than what I expected it to be. I was impressed. I really was. Kurt, what would you like to say about this one, buddy?
Yeah, agreeing to KP, this was a really interesting match because of the outcome we wasn't really expecting. Because obviously, as KP said, Shayna attacked Ronda Rousey. That was unexpectedly happening because we thought their titles will last a bit longer for them to break up. I was expecting for them to break up at some point, but not exactly after they just got the championships the week before for the unification matches. And I'm really glad that Liv and Raquel got the tag titles because hopefully after that they'll actually hold it for like a few months or something and actually do good progress with it. So this match got nothing much to say after this, but this was a surprising match. So I give this match a 7 out of 10. Thought it was really good, especially the end bit, and hoping to see what Liv and Raquel got next in stores for the future. So pass back over to KP.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much. Yeah, the match was definitely a surprise to, I think, a lot of people. I know I've done that like 6 times already, but it was that big a surprise. So it was nice to see. I was genuinely left shocked, and that's what you want. That's what you want at the end of the day. So they delivered it, I think. All 4 of these women, they did a good job. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's talk about what followed that match, and it was the Intercontinental Championship match. You had the champion Gunther, the Ring General, defending against Matt Riddle. And I went into this one not really too hyped about it. I think, it was going to be one of those matches where it was like a moment where Riddle would do his thing, he'd have a bit of a flurry, Gunther would turn it around, and he would get the win. And that's essentially what happened here. I mean, Gunther's obviously so used to putting on like killer after killer after killer match, banger after banger. And he's on this dominant streak at the moment. So I was thinking, you know what, he's going to go into it, he's going to get a big win, and it's going to, just continue his momentum. And that's essentially what it was, to be fair. It was pretty hard hitting throughout. No surprising outcome. Match was very centered around Riddle's ankle injury that he sustained going into it. Gunther targeted that body part throughout the entirety of the match. Like I said, Riddle did absorb a lot of punishment here, and he fought back as much as he could, making for some nice spots. But I just thought the match seemed a little flat for Gunther. I thought we've seen him put on so many good matches, and I think it's too easy to almost compare it to his previous matches. You got to be careful about that. But I want to try not to think about that too much right now and go in a different direction. But it just wasn't quite as good as some of those matches were that he's already had this year. That's just my main criticism there. But nonetheless, I did enjoy it. I thought it was really, really good. It was a nice match, but the ending was especially, I think, the greatest part of it for me, because it showed us another way that Gunther could win a match. We've seen him use so many different moves, whether it's been the splash from the top rope, whether it's been a power bomb, whether it's been a sleeper, all sorts of stuff. The Emerald Flosion, I can't remember what he called it nowadays, but he's got so many different ways of winning. And this time he would win with an ankle lock. So it just shows that he really is unpredictable about when a match can finish. It doesn't have to be his first choice finishing move. If he targets a body part and he inflicts as much damage into that as possible, he can win with whatever means necessary, So that just really was a nice spot for me. I that came to my attention quite clearly. But then obviously after the match, you had the return of Drew McIntyre, and that got a huge pop from the crowd. I think, we've been waiting on him for a long time now, haven't we? Realistically, it's been a while. So it's nice to see him back again, completely, focused now on the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther is the target for him. And yeah, I'm guessing all the contract stuff has been resolved, if that was ever a problem. I think Triple H did say in the press conference afterwards that was all baloney, basically. But, he's going to say that, right? But either way, great that Drew McIntyre's back. Looking forward to the Gunther and Drew McIntyre feud going forward. And I gave this matchup a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was quite enjoyable, to be fair. Kurt, would you like to add your comments?
So for this match, obviously we knew who were going to win Gunther, because I'm thinking he's probably going to do his Honky Tonk Man record for the future. So this match was really good and entertaining a bit, and then obviously when they started doing the ankle bits, that's when we were getting kind of a bit boring, so I lose interest in that bit. And as KP said, we got not the returning of Randy Orton, but good enough as Randy Orton. We got the return of Drew McIntyre challenging Gunther at the end of the match. And I thought he would probably come back heel, but he came back as a face again. And I'm interested to see what Gunther and Drew McIntyre will do in the future. But either way, this match was okay-ish, and I thought it was all right, and I give this one a 5 out of 10. But either the ending was really good when Drew McIntyre returned to make it hype a bit more. So pass you back over to KP of GKP.
Nice one, man. Thank you very much for that. A little bit different thoughts there, I suppose, with the rating wise. But hey, obviously we've got different opinions, and I'm sure the Drew and Gunther match is not going to disappoint. I'm sure it's going to be an absolute banger. Right, okay, so moving on now. What followed this one was the Dominic Mysterio against Cody Rhodes match. And like I said in the predictions video, I think this was the match I was sort of least hyped for. I did say that the crowd was going to be crazy in this one. They were going to really get loud. And that is exactly what happened. The crowd did deliver for certain. I thought the crowd was tremendous for the entire night. They brought the noise. And yeah, they did a phenomenal job. And in this match, they were no different. They gave Cody a massive welcome during his theme. and they booed the hell out of Dominic Mysterio throughout. But let's talk about the match itself. It wasn't a bad match from the two men, to be fair. But at the same time, it wasn't really anything special, I didn't think. Dom running away for a large set of the match, for a large part of the match, fit his character well, obviously, and you had Rhea getting involved to help Mysterio. That was always going to happen, but it's all like added to the whole cowardly sort of style that Mysterio's got going on at the moment. And I thought that was a pretty good way to kick things off. And then obviously you'd have Cody take off his the protection that he had on his arm. Dom would get freaked out and start running off. I thought that was quite a cool moment. It's quite funny. I expected there to be some involvement from Lesnar in this one. So the finish did feel a little bit flat. I was almost thinking, I think Cody was actually positioned quite like towards the left-hand side of the ring. So he's quite close to it. I thought, someone's going to like drag him out. But that never happened. So, I don't know. It felt a little bit flat, but nonetheless, it was a decent match between the two of them. Again, it was good, but it wasn't anything special, I didn't think. So, you could tell this was a stopgap for Cody. Oh, he's going to go on to bigger things again now, building up to SummerSlam. But I gave this one a 7 out of 10. So 7 out of 10, I think that's still pretty solid. But I would have liked to have seen a bit more in this one, I think, personally. Something a little bit different. Kat, what would you like to say to this one, buddy? You got anything different to add?
Yeah, I'm going to KP this one. I thought this probably needed a bit more adding on to it, like probably like Judgment Day of one of Damien Priest or Finn Balor to come out and try and help Dom. But either way, I thought this match was good, and Cody Rhodes put up momentum, and I think this match was just to boost Cody Rhodes up for the next event, because since he came back, he hasn't been winning much pay-per-views because there's been all like disqualifications. For example, when he went with Roman Reigns and one with Brock Lesnar, he lost. And obviously, at the end, everyone will be expecting Brock Lesnar to come, but we're thinking that Brock Lesnar won't come because it was just London, and there's no point in just coming for him to attack at the end of the match. So for this match, I give it a 7 out of 10. Thought it was good, but just same as KP said, just more adding to it. KP.
Nice one, buddy. Thank you for that. Yeah, pretty similar opinions there regarding that one. I think it's safe to say that was basically how it went down. Okay, so let's move on now to what would follow afterwards. And this was the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So you had the likes of Becky Lynch, Zelina Vega, Bayley, Io Sky, Trish Stratus, and Zoe Stark all competing here for a chance to become Miss Money in the Bank. And we obviously had the men's Money in the Bank earlier, so this was basically a chance for them to say, you know what, we can do our thing as well. We can deliver a really good match as well. And I thought these women did exactly that. It was an absolutely insane match from start to finish. I really, really enjoyed this one. It was very fun to watch. All 6 women were really heavily involved throughout the match with some pretty incredible spots throughout as well. You had Becky manhandle slamming Trish Stratus onto a ladder at ringside. You had Zelina's Code Red on Zoe Stark onto a ladder, which was absolutely unreal. Like, what a spot that was. You had Io's over the moonsault as well off the ladder. And then you had the finish as well, which was quite unique, something we've never really seen before. Io Sky would use Becky's handcuffs that I think Trish and Zoe had actually put on Becky earlier in the match. She would use that set of handcuffs to handcuff Bayley to Becky through the ladder. So both women unable to make the climb. Io would just go above Bayley and go up to grab the briefcase for herself. It was a really nice way to finish the match. I thought it was a unique spot. And yeah, it was just a really great way to end it. And I thought Io was the right choice going into it. I'm really glad that she won. So it sort of like makes me happy that, you know, there's a lot of like love for Io Sky. And with that having been said, I think she's going to have a good run with the briefcase. I think it's probably going to include Asuka, I would imagine. But as to where and when, I'm not too sure about that one. But let's hope she has a really good run with it. I think it's fingers crossed that she will do. But like I said, yeah, really entertaining watch, extremely fun, and definitely deserved for Io there getting that win. I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10. I thought it just narrowly edged the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, but nonetheless, both were incredible. So yeah, I thought this one just narrowly edged it though. Kurt, what did you think of this one then, buddy? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. There was two rivalries going of Zoe Stark, Trish Stratus, and Becky Lynch feuding since before the bell even rung. They started fighting on the ramp, and then obviously was Bailey and Io Sky working together. But when after Io claimed the contract, Bailey was really annoyed. So I'm interested to see how Io and Bailey react afterwards, after this event, and see if they're on the same page or breaking up as a tag team and just doing single competitors. For me, I think the best being single, because Io Sky is better at being like single than a tag team, in my opinion. And I thought Zelina would win because she wasn't in a rivalry with everyone, but happy that Io Sky won the contract and hope to see who she cashes it on in the future later on. So I rate this match an 8 out of 10. It's same quality as the men's, really fun and entertaining, and that's why I give it 8 out of 10. So I'll pass you over to KP.
Thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, it really was a great match, wasn't it? It was a lot of fun to watch, and you know, it was very, very enjoyable. Right, okay, so let's focus our attention now on our next match, and that was the World Heavyweight Championship bout between Finn Balor and Seth freaking Rollins. So this one had a lot. It had a lot going on, and not really that big a match. Like in terms of like lengthwise, sorry, it wasn't like a long match, but it had a lot going on. You had obviously Seth against Finn, and that alone was a pretty nice way to start. It didn't really just stop with those two though, because things would elevate between the two members of the Judgment Day. Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank now, after his win earlier on in the show, he would come out with his contract and he would tease a cash in. And yeah, it was a nice little twist toward the end, I thought, to be fair. It would end up actually costing Finn Balor the win. Finn would be going for a coup de grace from the top rope. Damian was sat in a chair at the time. He would get up out of his seat, and he would sort of provide distraction for some reason. I don't really know what the whole point of it was, but yeah, he definitely cost Finn the match for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it is a bit of a strange one. But clearly the miscommunication between Finn and Damian is continuing here. And yeah, the match basically was won by Seth Rollins just a couple of moments afterwards. So yeah, a bit of a weird one from Damian and against Finn, but I'm sure it'll be cleared at some point soon, I would imagine, hopefully. But yeah, either way, that cool little twist at the end with the contract was quite nice. I like the fact that it was a tease cash in and not a full thing. I was kind of worried that it would be a cash in, but thankfully it didn't go down that route, which was good. Seth retained. Balor and Priest have beef. No cash ins on the night. I love it. I think it's great, you know. Yeah, it was quite. It had quite high intensity throughout here. Quite vicious from Balor with his offense during the match as well. Some near falls made it made for some quite nice spots, and a pretty good match overall. I think it could have been a little bit of a better wrestling match. I think it could have had more content in it in terms of if you put Seth and Finn in a ring for a good 20 minutes or so, they're going to kill it. But I felt like this one wasn't quite like that. I think I could have seen more. But I'm happy with what we got. Don't get me wrong, this isn't the criticism of the match like as a genuine thing. I just thought it could have been better, you know. But I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Like I say, that's a pretty positive rating. It's just I think we could have got more from the two of them. But certainly not a bad match in my opinion. Kurt, what did you think of this one, man?
Yeah, I'm going to KP this one. We need a bit more moves into this one, and if it lasted a bit longer, it'll be a great match as well. Knowing Seth Rollins, he won't be getting rid of that title anytime soon. But as KP said, I'm glad that I didn't cash in straight away. And at the end of the match, it was fun to watch Finn Balor and Damian Priest arguing and bickering. That probably might give a feud with them two one day if they break up Judgment Day. So I'm interested to see how that goes and see if Damian Priest cashes in on Finn in the future anytime soon if he becomes a champion. So I give this match a 7 out of 10. I thought it was good, but as KP said, a bit more moveset will make it even better. I'm passing you back over to KP. Over to you.
Cheers, man. That match worked out quite well for Seth freaking Rollins. Damian Priest, I really hope he keeps that contract for a while. I really, really hope so. But nice tease. It was good. Right, let's move on now to what was the main event. And oh, Lord, what a main event it freaking was. The Bloodline Civil War, Roman and Solo Sikoa taking on the Usos. Wow. Just absolutely wow is what I'll start off by saying here. This match was absolutely unreal. And the storytelling, chef's kiss. Genuinely. It was fantastic, the whole thing. Started off at quite a steady pace at the beginning. Gradually progressed into absolute cinema. The Usos, they absorbed a hell of a lot of damage in this match, right? A hell of a lot of punishment. I thought that towards the latter stages of the matches, where you had the Samoan spike into the spear, literally at the same time, and then Roman would try and do the stack and pin, like we saw on Edge and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. You try doing that again with the Usos, and the crowd were chanting bullshit at the time, and I was just thinking, oh, this is done, I can't believe it. And they kicked out. I think they both kicked out, which was just utterly insane. It made for a massive moment. Everyone was going freaking crazy at the time, and that was like, I think probably for me, my favorite spot of the match. It was just nuts, ridiculous. Didn't expect it to happen. And the crowd were unreal in this match. They laid the hate on Roman Reigns. I think they were chanting at one point, stand up if you hate Roman, and Roman would actually end up sitting on the apron to try and sort of like counteract their chants. They would then start chanting, sit down if you hate Roman. It was fun. It was a great watch, and the crowd were freaking hyped for this one, which is good to see. The kickouts were insane throughout from everyone involved, really. You had Roman kicking out of stuff. You had Jay kicking out. The Usos kicking out, as I mentioned earlier. But that one kick out right at the very end, Jay, when he would do what Roman did a number of years ago, and he would kick out and low blow at the same time, which was very, very smart from Jay Uso. The ref never saw it. Roman absolutely stunned by that. And it would be a couple of moments after that where the Usos would continue the offense. They would lay out Roman in the middle of the ring. Jay hits a splash, and he would pin the tribal chief, which was just freaking mental. It's crazy to think about, It had been over 3.5 years. No one had pinned him, and Jey Uso is the one to do so. Very much like he was the first to pin him in WWE many, many years ago. So it's sort of like long-term booking in terms of like the whole 3-year experience of the bloodline. Jey Uso was the one to start the whole tribal war between the two of them, and then Jay would get the pin on Roman in this tag match. The story wrote itself, to be fair, and it was amazing. I loved it from start to finish. But obviously, Roman taking the pin is a massive deal, huge moment, which will be talked about for a very, very, very long time. And this was rightfully the main event, and there was a little bit of mix-up going into it about what could be the main event, what couldn't be. But this was the perfect way to send the crowd home happy, and it was just phenomenal, utterly phenomenal. I gave this one a 10 out of 10. I don't think it's possible to rate it any less than that. It's not just a wrestling match, it's a story, and this story is become cinema. That's as literally as simple as it gets. It was a great watch, and I look forward to watching it again and again and again. It was that good. Kurt, do you have as much love for this match as I do?
Yeah, this was the best match of the pay-per-view, and the most one I was really looking forward for, because I wanted to see how it outcome afterwards. The Usos, Roman and Solo put a good effort into this, and loads of kickouts, loads of near falls, and even a ref bump that we knew that was going to happen of Dan Engler. Looked like he caught his leg on the rope, and probably might pull the muscle when it else in it. So this match was really good, the best match of the pay-per-view. I give this one a 10 out of 10, and I love when they did their double spear on Roman when he was going to spear them both, but they fought fast and then did a spear to him. That's what gave a good moment. And I really liked the end when Paul Heyman did a nervous look and a sad face and shocked face after Noel winning. I wonder if this is going to be a Solo and Roman breakup, because Roman probably be nagging to Solo about him not breaking up the pinfall when he was down. So I wonder how this escalates, and I'm guessing it'll be Jay that challenges Roman next for the title. So back to you, KP.
Yeah, it was the best match. That is the bottom line. It was unbelievable. I loved it from the very second it started to the very moment it finished. It was just crazy. So that was the Money in the Bank Premium Live event. If we talk about it as an overall now, basically our overall rating and stuff, I say we do that right now. And I'm going to go through about it basically from start to finish here. So I thought from start to finish, it was a solid show. It was great from top to bottom, absolutely stacked across the card in terms of good performances. It was one of the most consistently good premium live events I think we've had in recent times, to be honest. I wouldn't say that there was a particularly bad or an unenjoyable match, which is really fresh to say, right? Like, we don't normally get to say that. Normally there's like one that stands out as like, oh my God, this is awful. Why was it there? But when you look at the card, I don't really get that from any of them. You know, it was pretty good. All of them were still enjoyable to watch. Some of the matches were incredible. Both Money in the Bank matches, the Civil War, especially those 3 matches. And the matches that weren't as good as those, that's simply the best way to describe them, in my opinion. You know, the quality wasn't quite there, but it was still a really good match. It just wasn't quite on the level of the other 3, you know. So that says a lot about the quality of the show as a general, you know. 2 great choices for Mr. and Miss Money in the Bank. No cash-ins on the night. A title change. Drama in the Civil War. I mean, what a show. What a show, right? It was great. I loved it. I gave this one overall an 8.5 out of 10, which I think is actually the highest I've given out of any premium live event since we started doing these. So, yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. I think it's, like I said, the most consistently good premium live event we've had in a long time. So, yeah, I think it sent a real message. And hey, the crowd, again, shout out. They were unbelievable. So good. Loud from the very first minute to the very last second. Kurt, what did you think of it as a whole, buddy?
Yeah, I thought this was a really good show, really good main event, really good 2 ladder matches, and I kind of think that some of the matches didn't really need to be in this match. For example, Cody Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio, and possibly Gunther versus Riddle. So, overall, I thought this was a good pay-per-view of Money in Bank, so I give this one a 9 out of 10. I thought this was really good. It's just lacking of some of the matches that didn't really need to be on it. Back to you, KP.
Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, it was a really good show. So it was nice to see a really good one from start to finish. All right. So with that being said, then, I want to thank everybody for tuning into this video, giving it a listen, watching it on YouTube, or listening to it on Spotify for podcasters. We will be back next time with our predictions video for WWE's SummerSlam event coming up at the start of August. So, yeah, we'll be a few weeks away now, but yeah, that'll be the next live event. It won't be too long. That'll come quickly, I'm sure. But that'll be the next one. So thank you very much to Kurt for joining me today, casting your reactions, and let me know what you thought of everything in general. Yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. All right. So this has been another KP's Place YouTube video and podcast. If you're listening on Spotify for podcasters, with me, KP, because that would be me, and with Kurt, because that would be him. Take it easy, guys. We're out of here.